going? Oh yeah, we're going. We're smooth like butter. All right. So I didn't stream yesterday. My bad. But we're back today. Like I said last stream, we are taking a break from Metroid because of what happened in the last video. I need just a mental distressor. I need something that's easy, fun. And Atelier Ryza, I'm still working on grinding that. So I'm like, okay, today it'll just be Pokemon focused, all right? We got the Zard sweater on. We're feeling the vibes. Today's just going to be a chill day and full of controversial opinions. I don't know yet if we're going to do this by generation or if we're just going to try to do it all today. Probably not all today because I think there's over 1,500 images because this is Megas, Gigantamax, gender differences, alternate forms, all of that. So this is going to be a pretty busy video. But without further ado, let's go ahead and get into it. We'll take a sip of water. You take a sip of water too. You gotta stay hydrated. I thought for a moment about paying for the premium, but you know what? I'll just deal with ads. Gives a little something to look at on the sides. You know, all these advertisements. They're lovely. But without further ado, let's go ahead and get into this. Starting off, Bulbasaur, the first Pokemon, debatable, depending on who you ask, but S tier. Okay, you cannot hate Bulbasaur. It is impossible. Bulbasaur is just a perfect design. He's adorable. He's iconic from the anime. He's great. Ivysaur, like solid evolution. It's a good transition from Bulbasaur into Ivysaur. And what's not to love, especially in Smash Bros. My God, Ivysaur is just busted. Bulbasaur is like my second favorite grass starter, but Bulbasaur is amazing. This will get controversial. Just a heads up with some of my opinions coming up pretty quickly, actually. The gender differences, I don't really care too much about that, but Venusaur, I do like Venusaur, not as much as Ivysaur and Bulbasaur. When it came to Pokemon Let's Go, I ran a very awkward team. I ran Bulbasaur and Charmeleon, didn't fully evolve them. I also ran a male Nidoran. Usually in my Pokemon games, I don't run a fully evolved team. I usually just run whatever Pokemon I like most. The Gigantamax. The Gigantamax is actually really cool. I do thoroughly enjoy that. And the Mega is all the same. I think I like the Gigantamax just a little bit more. But all in all, you can't go wrong with Bulbasaur. The whole evolution line is solid. Now, very quickly, we're getting controversial here, okay? Hold on to your butts. Charmander, I feel neutral about. I don't love Charmander, but I don't hate Charmander. Charmander is like just solid. That's all there is. However, this is where I'm going to lose people if I didn't already lose you with my Charmander opinions. And honestly, nothing, I'll say this now. I've said it before on a stream, but just to make sure, let me moisten my lips so I can make this very clear. Charmeleon is my favorite Pokemon. Okay? My favorite. I don't care about Charizard. I don't care about Charmander. I don't care about final evolutions as much. Like, my favorite Pokemon is a middle stage. All right, come at me. Next, Charizard, again, neutral. I know Charizard gets way too much love. Like, that's been the thing with him for so long. But that doesn't make me hate Charizard. That doesn't make me go like, this Pokemon sucks because it gets so much love. However, I'm also not going to be like, Charizard's the coolest fire type starter ever. It's an amazing final evolution. I feel so neutral about Charizard. Okay, we could talk about Ash's Charizard and how iconic it is, yes, but that doesn't change my opinions about the Pokemon. Even though I said, like, oh, Bulbasaur's iconic in the anime, yes, but I have my biases, okay? Um, I don't need to be drinking that much. I just feel the heat that's just blaring into my skull from my opinion on Charizard. But for real, I absolutely adore Charmeleon. I think the color they went with would have been so much cooler on Charizard if they used the reddish orange they use on Charmeleon on Charizard. I'd probably like Charizard a little bit more. I like how Charmeleon kind of is a simple but strong design. Like the single horn, I love the single horn. I love the fierceness Charmeleon includes. Um, and gosh, okay. So I know I said we don't talk about or like Ash's Charizard, how iconic it is, and that doesn't really matter. I'm again showing my biases here. Um, I loved Ash's Charmeleon more. I loved it when it was a Charmeleon and it was defined. That really kind of helped solidify my love for Charmeleon. Especially when like he sent out Charmeleon to fight the Paris. So Charmeleon could lose and the Paris would evolve. And all it did was absolutely smack the crap out of the Paris and just obliterate it. Just the shift from what Charmander was to Charmeleon was wild and it was amazing and it was hilarious. But more than anything, fire types are my favorite, and I just love the design of Charmeleon. I think the design of Charmeleon is 10 out of 10. Straight up. It's such a good design. And I think if Charizard. I think my big throw off with Charizard is the small arms and the rotund belly. Like, they made Charizard so fat for some reason. And I don't know why. They made him so stumpy. And I get that they want to make it cool, but also more kid friendly, right? So they didn't go over the top, and that's not what I'm asking. I'm not asking for Charizard to look like Blue Eyes White Dragon or anything. I just think the rotund belly and the short arms make him a bit too cartoony to be super cool. But moving on with that, I just wanted to talk about that one for a while because it's Charizard. The Gigantamax form, it does the same thing. It really throws me off with how big of a belly they give Charizard. It's like they're trying to make him the fire version of Snorlax. It's just an odd decision to me. And for that reason, oh boy, I don't like the Gigantamax. That and the wings. I don't like the wings either. I feel like if they kept Charizard's wings and they just added fire to the wings, you know, like at the edge where Charizard's wings like do their little cuts in the blue, if they just made that flame tipped, I think if they gave him flame tipped wings, that would be so much cooler than just making his wings fire. There we go. I just wasn't a huge fan of Gigantamax Charizard. It's a menace in battle. It was terrifying facing it off against Leon in the games, but I just don't care for it. And when it comes to his Mega Evolutions, I feel neutral about them both. I know people love Charizard X. They love the black and the blue flames, and they love that got the dragon type. I understand that, but to me, like, they're both chill. They're fine. Yeah. I don't have much to say about Charizard besides what I already did. His Megas don't make him any more special to me or cooler. Squirtle. Oh boy. Touching on the Kanto starters is difficult because while I adore and I love Pokemon, Gen 1's a very mid to low generation. I get it's where Pokemon started, so yes, I give it credit for that. But I just like Squirtle. Squirtle's okay. Wartortle, I actually like it a bit more than Squirtle. I think the blue coloring, again, it's the coloring. Like, it's such a, like, lavender color, and the design's cool. It's a solid evolution from Squirtle. You can see they evolved. And it's cool. And then you get to Blastoise. And I really like Blastoise. I do. That's why he's going at the forefront of both of them. But the thing is, it is really confusing to see how it goes from small turtle with a fluffy tail and ears, to a big turtle with a tank. The evolution line isn't really the best there. I think Bulbasaur and Charmander have a much more solid evolution line. Although Bulbasaur is easily the best out of them all, it's very obvious to see where it went. And I can see why it kind of gets lost in translation between Charmeleon and Charizard with the palette swap and just kind of everything about that. But just the most confusing final evolutions out of all of them is Wartortle to Blastoise. But it's still good. This Gigantamax form, though, I love it. You're going to tell me this thing's a bunker with just cannons galore coming out of it? They did it so good. They did this Gigantamax so good, and honestly, I wish Gigantamax Blastoise was on Leon's team over Charizard. I get that Charizard is like Leon's ace, it's his best friend, it's like his partner. But just imagine if they made Squirtle his partner and we got this in the final battle. That would be terrifying. You want to face off against like 300 different turrets? No. And Mega Blastoise, I actually really love that too. Yes, I don't get the evolution here, but to go from Blastoise to this, oh yeah, very solid, very makes sense. And again, when it came, I don't think I mentioned it, not sure if I did, but when I came to Pokemon Y, my first playthrough, I chose Squirtle as my starter for the Mega Evolution, and I was very happy to run Mega Blastoise on my team. I always loved when they got that huge cannon. Still find it so stupid, though, that it never shot the water out of the cannon. I think everyone had that gripe, though, but it's still a cool Pokemon. Now we're getting to, like, probably everyone's favorite, or one of everyone's favorite bug types of all times, or of specifically Gen 1. While the Caterpie line isn't my favorite bug type of all time, it is super solid. Caterpie gets an S. I love Caterpie. It is one of the cutest, coolest first stages. It literally just looks like exactly what it's based off but it's got a bit more cartoonish to it, and I love it. Metapod, I'm neutral on. I think from Caterpie to Metapod, it makes sense. It's the cocoon phase. I do love Metapods, just I don't care. Look, it's great. But Butterfree, I love Butterfree. You can't not like Butterfree. It's a solid design. It's cool. And its Gigantamax form, they did so good with it. I think it's very well deserved, especially when it came to Gen 6. And Heracross and Pinsire and Beedrill all got Mega Evolutions. And don't get me wrong, Heracross, my favorite bug type. Just a little spoiler. Once we get to Heracross, S tier immediately. But to leave Butterfree out of all those bug types, out of the Mega Evolution, when kind of Butterfree is the bug type. I mean, it was on Ash's team. It's the first kind of bug Pokemon that really shows you like how the evolution works and everything. And it's just a cute, solid design. So when it got its Gigantamax form, it was very well deserved. It needed one. It deserved one. However, I do like Caterpie more. I shiny hunted for a Caterpie for so long. I made videos on it and everything, and it took me so long to get shiny Caterpie. And that gold, that yellow it has, is immaculate. And I really wish they did more with shiny Butterfree, other than just kind of palette swapping its eyes and everything. Now we get to the other bug type, Gen 1. Weedle, yeah, I'm neutral about Weedle. I don't have any strong opinions one way or another. Now, if this was the shiny, S. I love Weedle shiny. Yellow and gold shinies are my favorite, and anytime a Pokemon is just yellow or gold for its shiny, it just makes me love it significantly more. Kakuna, okay, there's nothing wrong with Kakuna. Like, it works for Weedle, and it shows it's an aggressive cocoon, which I do like about it. It shows that it's gonna be something more aggressive, that's a bit more hostile. But at the same time, when I was like a kid playing the games, and every time I saw Kakuna, and just that all it would do is harden, or sometimes very rarely poison sting, because you can just find them in the middle stage instead of Weedle. And this, I just hated it every time. Beedrill, however, I like Beedrill. Beedrill's solid. Its Mega Evolution is immaculate. It's almost out of the realm of Pokemon with its Mega Evolution. It almost crosses into Digimon territory. But you can still tell it comes from Beedrill. But it does teeter on the edge of looking more like a Digimon than a Pokemon. But I like that. I like Digimon. Not as much as I adore and love Pokemon, but I do really like Digimon. Pidgey. Pidgeotto? Pidgeot. Mega Pidgeot. What am I gonna do? Oh no. Okay. I don't like its Mega. I think, especially when it gets the weird eyeshadow it does, it just doesn't look good. It looks bad. The hair looks bad. I don't like it. Its wings looks like it has fingers now. Like they're blue tipped fingers, like he got them dipped and manicured. And while, like, yes, feel free to slay, right? It just doesn't work for Pidgeot. I actually, we'll see in a little bit. We'll touch on it once we get to it. hold your horses. But the Pidgeline, like, Pidgeotto is probably the most iconic because of Ash's Pidgeotto. I get that. But let's be honest, his Pidgeotto sucked. It barely won any battles. And it looks okay. It just looks very plain. And it's not that I want fantastical looking Yu-Gi-Oh looking monsters, but I don't know. It just doesn't have a certain pizzazz to me. And for Mega Pidgeot, I just feel like they kind of went over the top. Like they went from Pidgeot, who's an okay design, to Mega Pidgeot, which you can tell it's Pidgeot. It's just, I don't know. There's just something about it. I don't like it. Rattata. See, this is difficult because okay. I'm not gonna say I hate Rattata, but at the same time, I've never ran a Rattata on my team. I just don't care to. I think it's very meh to me. A Alolan Rattata, though, I do feel neutral about. I like it a little bit more than normal Rattata. I do like how they gave him a little bit more spice. I like how Alolan Rattata stands on its hind legs. For some reason, that just gives off a level of adorableness that I just find great. But Raticate, I'm neutral on Raticate. Yeah, yeah. However, this is where it goes back the other way. All right, I prefer Alolan Rattata to normal Rattata. However, I prefer normal Raticate to Alolan Raticate. It's so fat. And I get that it's supposed to be fat because it's a greedy little rat, right? It makes sense. But those cheeks, every time I would battle one in Sun and Moon, or like you just see it, or you would see it in anime, or you just see a better visual of it. Every time, just its cheeks. And it's too chunky. It's too chunky. I feel like I could just grab him by the tail and throw him, and he would just never stop rolling. Okay. Now, this is where I'm going to get flack. I much prefer Spearow and Fearow to the Pidgeline. I don't know what it is about Spearow and Fearow. I think maybe it's kind of their mangy, mangled look and kind of just the awkward fierceness, because they look a lot more dismantled, and I think they do a really good point at being like, yeah, that's the point. They're supposed to be more ugly. But I don't know. I love Fearow. I am using a Fearow when I played through Pokemon Red. And I actually kind of made Fearow my ace. And I just love Spearow and Fearow. I think they have a lot more personality than the Pidgeline does. Like, when you look at Pidgey and Spearow, yes, Spearow might be a little bit uglier, but it has a lot more character. And that's what I love about it. It also has a better color palette. It has more variety. It has more spice. And Fearow is just so distinct with its long cranked neck, looking almost like a Doofenshmirtz neck or a Crocker neck. And just its crown, the beak, how big the wings are, just, I love Fearow. Ekans and Arbok. I like them. They are a super solid snake Pokemon. I wish the only thing they did with Arbok was incorporate more of the face designs that it's fabled to have, how it has like multiple different face designs on its chest. I just wish they gave Arbok more of those. However, um, they're great. I used them in Let's Go. I enjoyed them. If it was shinies, again, Arbok would be S. I love the gold yellow that it has. Now, Pikachu. You can't hate Pikachu. You can't. It's the mascot for a reason. It's very lovable looking. And if we are to go with the anime, which is fair for Pikachu, um, the way you see him and Ash's relationship grow, you see how Pikachu develops more confidence or more of his own personality, and it's so good. Pikachu is so expressive and lovable and great, and you can't not like Pikachu. So we'll put both forms there, even though I like the hardtail a little bit less, but it's still fine. Gigantamax Pichu, they appeal to the old fans with this, with how chunky it is and everything. Because they're like, oh, chunky Pikachu's best Pikachu. No, Pikachu needed to go on Weight Watchers. It just needed to. But I do feel neutral about it. I'm not strong about the Gigantamax form one way or another. I think it's fine, but nothing special. Especially because its whole tail just becomes electricity. I do find that a bit weird. I think if they were to make the end of it kind of shooting off electricity instead of just making the whole thing electric, I think that would have been better. Raichu, I'm neutral about. I've never hated Raichu, but I've never used Raichu. I have never used Raichu of any sort. I didn't even use the Alolan one. They're a solid evolution for Pikachu, and I'll give them that. And I know there's like quite a few people out there actually that prefer Raichu over Pikachu, which is fair. Like the color palette's good, its design is good. Just I can go either way with Raichu. Sandshrew, what's not to like about Sandshrew? It's adorable. The chunkiness works for Sandshrew because it's supposed to be bulky. It's supposed to be like hard like a rock. It's supposed to be like just a solid ball because it curls up into a ball, and that's adorable. It's Sonic. It's great. However, I do prefer Alolan Sandshrew. I think they did so good with the design of Alolan Sandshrew. They just fully encapsulated the chunkiness in a good way. And the fact that it can't roll up into a ball anymore from the Pokedex entries because of how it's built, I think is hilarious. Awful typing. Because you put ice on anything, it's going to be a bad type. Ice type sucks. Some of the designs of the Pokemon are really cool. Just ice type sucks. If so, when they made it Ice Steel, yeah, those 4 times weaknesses, oof. But it's still good. I love the design. Sandshrew or Sandslash, same thing. I like it, but I do love Alolan Sandslash a lot more. I think just the sharp ice, just it looks cold, cool, and fierce in the best kind of way. And I think I really like the claws more on Alolan Sandshrew, how they kind of curl at them, kind of giving that they're like steel hooks. Really cool. Now, I'm also using Nidoqueen in on my red playthrough because everyone just runs Nidoking, and I like showing love and appreciation to less loved Mons. However, when it does come to the Nidoqueen line, I am very neutral about it. I could get into liking it a bit more, but I see it. I'm like, yeah, it's okay. It's good. Nothing wrong with it. I don't love it, but I don't hate it. Now, Nidoran male. I love this thing. Anytime I see it in the Kanto games or in the Johto games, I just want to grab one and just, even if it's not on my team, at least I know I have it in my box. I did run one though in my Let's Go team. I ran a lot of poison types on my Let's Go team. But Nidoran, oh my gosh. This little bunny mouse, little vicious looking dude he's going for, it's amazing. Nidorino, I'm neutral. I don't hate it. It's a bit uglier, but that's fine because it's supposed to look a bit more fierce with that. And I think that does come across very well because Nidoran male starts off kind of given an aggressive feel but looking adorable. However, when it evolves into Nidorino, it definitely is like, okay, I'm able to defend myself better, I'm able to attack better, I am more fierce. And it crosses that message very well. And Nidoking, neutral. Once again, I've never used one. If I were to use one, I'd probably feel stronger about it. Its design's cool. I have nothing bad to say about it. I just have never had strong feelings towards Nidoking or Nidoqueen. Clefairy? Yeah, I like them. I like Clefairy. Cleffa and Clefairy, I like more. Clefable, I feel more neutral. There's something weird about Clefable that I can't quite put my tongue on. But when I see a Clefable come into battle, I don't see, it's a cute, pretty fairy, or like it's like an adorable fairy. There's just something about it that, if I were to see one in real life, I'd be very uncomfy. But I don't hate it. I think from Clefairy to Clefable, it's solid. I just like Clefairy a bit more because there's like an ugly cuteness to it, right? Like, you don't look at Clefairy and be like, this is the cutest looking Pokemon ever, right? Because there's just something about its face that makes it a little bit ugly, but I think that's some of the charm. Like, it's an ugly cute, and I dig it. Vulpix. Ninetales. Okay, we good on that? That's controversial because people absolutely adore Alolan Ninetales. I'm fully aware that Alolan Ninetales and Vulpix are much more loved than the original, which is fine. I just don't have strong feelings towards them one way or another. Again, there's going to be a lot of Pokemon out of these 1,025 Pokemon and alternate forms that are going to be neutral. There's not going to be a whole lot of Pokemon that go into hate or the worst. Because for the most part, I really enjoy most of the Pokemon designs. Until we get to Gen 5. But that's another story. But Jigglypuff, Wigglytuff, I have gained kind of just a newfound love for Jigglypuff and Wigglytuff lately. Maybe it was a Nuzlocke I did where I found at the very beginning of my run a shiny Igglybuff. And it was like I was doing this Nuzlocke with a buddy, and we were maybe an hour into the Nuzlocke, and I found a shiny Igglybuff, which was, full odds and everything. and we had the items randomized. So while I was able to, with friendship, get it to Jigglypuff, there was no guarantee I was going to be able to get Wigglytuff. But I'm like, I found this shiny at the very beginning. I gotta keep it. And so I ran with Jigglypuff for a while, and then randomly, one of the randomized items in those Pokeballs that were just around the map, because we were doing a randomized Nuzlocke on Pokemon Fire Red. And one of those randomized items was a Moonstone. I managed to come across a Moonstone and evolve my shiny Jigglypuff into shiny Wigglytuff. And Wigglytuff was a huge help. It carried me through so much of my Nuzlocke. And so from that point forward, I had such an appreciation for it. And then Scarlet and Violet became a thing, and there was some PokeTubers I watched, and they just hate on Wigglytuff so much. And there's just so much hate thrown towards Jigglypuff and Wigglytuff for how like weak they are, which I think I got like some parental instinct over them and decided I need to defend them. I need to defend them. Look at how adorable they are. They mean no harm. And also, if you play Mystery Dungeon, you know about Wigglytuff. It's such an iconic character in the Mystery Dungeon series. And it's a cute design. It's a good design. I think it benefited a lot from gaining the fairy typing. And I love them. You can't hate them. They're so good. Even if competitively they're not used a lot, you gotta love them. Zubat, which I did find out not too long ago, is the only poison flying type Pokemon, the evolution line. Zubat, I like Zubat a lot. I think bats are cool. I really like bats. I think they're chill. However, I do like Zubat more than Golbat. I think how big they went the mouth was a bit goofy, and I think that's what they were going for. But I don't know. There's just something about Golbat. I do love its Gen 1 sprite where it just looks like it got absolutely blasted by a boulder or a truck, and it's just, you know, amazing. But Golbat in general, besides that Gen 1 sprite, it's okay. I don't hate it, but it's nothing to write home about for me. But Zubat, I think, is a great design for a simple bat. Oddish. Yeah, you can't. I don't think there's anything bad about Oddish. I don't. I don't have much to say about it. And I think the same with Gloom. I think Gloom's pretty solid. It's an interesting evolution to go with, and I like it. But Vileplume, though. I'm pretty neutral about Vileplume. I do like Oddish and Gloom a bit more, but there's nothing wrong with Vileplume. It's just its evolution line is very clear on what they want the design to be, what they were going for with what it's based off of. Cool. But I'm neutral on them. Now Paris, amazing bug type. I love Paris. I remember Heart Gold, Soul Silver. Paris was my cutter. If any tree needed to be cut, Paris was there to deal with it. I love Paris. Parasect, I like Parasect, even though it is horrible that when you let your Paris evolve and Parasect is just a corpse and the Pokemon is basically the mushroom. Yes, it's awful, but it's still a cool design. Like just the mushroom hat and the huge claws. It's great. I feel so bad for it though every time I see it. I like running Paris and most of the time I won't evolve it just because I feel guilt if I evolve a Paris. And I know it's just like a video game creature, it doesn't actually feel it, but my god, I feel so awful. I'm like, why would they do this to you? How could they do this to you? But besides that, I'll still put Parasect in like um, Venonat. This thing is adorable. The way it bounces, especially like in Scarlet Violet, how they just kind of have it hopscotching everywhere. Its eyes, its design, its fluffiness. You just want to hug it. It's so good. And like in the same way, I also really enjoy moths. I think moths are cool creatures. I ran a Venomoth on my Let's Go team. Like I caught a Venonat, evolved it into Venomoth. It was great. Um, I enjoyed it. Is it the best bug Pokemon? No, not by any means. But I can't hate it. Um, Diglett. This one's tough. Because I think I'm trying to not just make this neutral section the only section that all these Pokemon go in. I want to give some variety to it. But Diglett's just a mole. That's all it is. It's a little potato. He's a little potato dude. I do like Alolan Diglett a little bit more though. I don't know. They gave it a little bit of a tan and they gave it that little tuft of hair, and that little tuft of hair for some reason just gives it a bit more personality that I just really enjoy. Um, but gosh, Doug Trio, yeah, it's neutral. However, Alolan Doug Trio, I actively, yeah. In fact, see this is where it gets difficult for this one because I do like Alolan Diglett more than I like normal Diglett. Doug Trio, I don't really care for. But Alolan Doug Trio, they really was like, let's make it look different. And I don't think it was a good different. I get what they were going for. It's fine. It's chill. But I think if the front two, it's it's so difficult, right? Because the one in the back, I actually really like its long wavy hair. It just gives the vibes of like a surfer Doug Trio, and it's great because these things would be nowhere near water ever. But the front two, just their hair, I hate it, especially Mr. Bowl Cut here. I just really hate that. Now Meow. Um, I'm neutral on Meowth. The only reason, because I'm trying to keep. See, I keep going back and forth about the whole anime thing. Because it's like I'm trying to focus on just the games, but yes, nostalgia does hit a little bit in these. Because Meowth in the anime, amazing, amazing Pokemon, loving like you can't not love Meowth in the anime, but that's because they gave it such a Meowth such a big personality. But that's the only thing Meowth has going for it. I get that's based on like the Lucky Cat, um, and they did, I think, pretty good. They did okay with the execution. The color's a bit plain, but they did good with the execution, especially with when it, how like in this picture right here, it has its paw to kind of signify like how the arm, you know, I get it. It's okay. I think the only thing that gives Meowth though any distinct character and uniqueness is the anime, and that's it. When it comes to game wise, however, you just look at it, it's like, oh, it's there. Um, and that's why I just gotta put it in neutral. Otherwise, if it was designed a bit differently, I would probably put it in like. But the only reason that it's in neutral is because I don't have any strong feelings towards it besides the anime, which Meowth is great. But Gigantamax Meowth, it's so stupid, but in the best kind of way. I I got this because I got Sword and Shield release day, whatever. So it was like, the early purchase gift, that you could redeem before the certain day and get it before then. And it's so stupid, but it goes so far into absurd. It comes back around to being like, that's pretty chill. And I think that's my situation with Gigantamax Meowth. Now, Alolan Meowth. Oh boy. I just, it's a sassy cat. I get it. It's a bit more sassy. But I remember seeing this thing for the first time in Sun and Moon, and I came across it, and I went, what? It's so weird. But Galarian Meowth, I actually really like Galarian Meowth. I think the crazed eyes they give Galarian Meowth, because the other two have pretty. I mean, all the eyes are different. Meowth has. Cantonian Meowth has just very neutral, plain eyes. The Alolan gives the sassy eyes, which gives it a bit more personality in the way it stands. But there's something about Galarian Meowth that just makes me feel like it takes substances. And I just love it for that. It's so weird, so crazy looking, and I just wish they would have stuck with, every region give Meowth a new form. Why not? Because it would just be such a goofy Pokemon to see. Like, out of all the Pokemon, they choose Meowth to be like, okay, let's just give it a bunch of different forms. Persian. I think I dislike Persian because Meowth, while very plain, it still has some uniqueness with like the coin and the playful cat-like nature, as plain as it is. But Persian is legit just a mountain lion with a gem, and even then, or like a puma. But even then, they managed to take like a standard animal from the real world, put it into Pokemon, and they somehow made it more boring than what it's based off of. Like, if they gave it any sort of pattern, if they gave it any sort of different coloration, I think Persian could have been really cool. But they made it all the same color, and besides the gem, nothing about it is special. If you took away that gem on Persian, it would be just the worst, like one of the worst looking Pokemon. There's would be zero things special about it. Besides that, it's Giovanni's, Pokemon. Um, get mouse. Yeah, no. This thing, no. Saw it when this thing, even in the anime, whether it's the games or the anime. Why did you give it such a watermelon shaped head? I will not understand. It does give it more personality, more character, more design than Persian. But I think they went about it in the wrong way. Just like Alolan Dug Trio. I think they're like, okay, we need to spice them up from the originals. How do we do that? And they went about it in a way that's not appealing. Um, Psyduck. I think Psyduck has a fun design. I think the colors pop. I think it conveys well that it's constantly having a headache. Anytime I run into a Psyduck in the wild, it's just fun. Golduck though, is there really anybody out there that just likes Golduck? Like for real, is there anyone out there who would actively be like, yeah, Golduck's one of my top 6 or one of my top 10? Like, I feel like they missed out on so much potential with Psyduck and its evolution. And obviously they missed out more when they didn't make it a psychic type. That's the thing, is if it has such strong psychic powers, then why is it not psychic type? Also the tail. The tail I have always found a weird addition. Why did you give it such a big tail? It didn't need a big tail. Because it almost makes it feel like Golduck's design almost makes it feel like it's supposed to be a dinosaur. But if it is, it's just a really poorly made dinosaur. Like if someone were to draw this in kindergarten and not know what Pokemon is, I think they would be very confused what kind of creature it's supposed to be, because obviously it has a duck bill. And it's maybe crossed with a platypus. Maybe it's crossed with a platypus. But I don't know. It gives off not natural dinosaur vibes. Jurassic Park took it and made a mutated monster, and Golduck's kind of the result of that. Mankey. I like Mankey. I've never used a Mankey. I haven't used Primate or Annihilate. But they're good. They're cool designs. They're very simple, but they get the point across of how just angry and easily just irked creatures they are. And I think it's amusing. Oh boy, I'm gonna get flack for this. Okay. So far, the fire types haven't really been, the best with my rankings, which is weird to consider how fire type is my favorite type of Pokemon. It goes like fire, bug, poison for me. Those are my top 3 types in that order. But I don't know. There's just something about the Gen 1 fire types besides Charmeleon where I'm like, yeah, they exist. And I don't hate Arcanine or Growlithe by any means. I think they're cute and cool. But I'm not going to sit here and say, oh my gosh, they're one of the best fire types ever made. I think there's cooler fire types out there. Like my boy Charmeleon. Just absolute perfect specimen. Just, they can't get better than this. Although they have got close very many times. And we'll get to those Pokemon later on. But just, yeah, Growlithe, Arcanine, I'm neutral about. And maybe that's because I have yet to use one. I've never used a Growlithe or an Arcanine in a playthrough. but I like them. Now, okay. I I don't know what it is about Poliwag and Poliwhirl specifically, but I see them and I get happy. There's just a level of charm to Poliwag and Poliwhirl that's just to me undeniable. And then there's Poliwrath, which is just Poliwhirl on a bad day. And I just think for a final evolution, it is very disappointing from Poliwhirl because it's like, yes, there's a stat increase and there's a type change, but I rather just have Poliwhirl. I rather just have my goofy, happy tadpole rather than angry tadpole. But these two, super solid. I got a full odds shiny egg from them in my Pokemon Sun game, and it threw me off because Poliwag hatched, and I'm like, that blue looks like a lighter blue. That doesn't look right. And then, as I'm saying that, the stars go off after the egg hatches, and the stars shoot off. I'm like, oh my gosh, it's a shiny. And it blew my mind. The shiny is garbage, but the Pokemon in general, I really like. Abra, honestly, is... I love the design of Abra. I don't know what it's supposed to be. I think it's like supposed to be a fox or kind of that mythical creature feel. But I have always absolutely adored how Abra looks. And then there's Kadabra and Alakazam. And I'll be honest, I don't like Kadabra. I don't. Every time I see it, I see this, and I'm like, this was cool. This had something to it, and then they made it into Kadabra, and I'll say I like Alakazam a bit more than Kadabra, but I'm not loving or really liking Alakazam. Like, they are there. I understand that they are powerful psychic Pokemon, but Abra just has so much charm to it that I think is lost with Kadabra and Alakazam. Mega Alakazam? I don't like the Mega either. I think, especially, I don't know. It's something about how it gets even more bony. Because Alakazam is already thin and small with its, like, how it's built. And I know they went with, like, Mega Alakazam more of that monk feel, I'm guessing. Or sage, whatever they were wanting to do. But they just made him way too bony. Those legs and the way it locks its feet bother me. And I can't explain why, but I don't know. Maybe I can. Maybe it's just because it's so weird and unnatural how it's just grabbing its own feet with two chopsticks. Because that's what its legs are chopsticks. And I don't like it. The Machop line, I think I feel the same about. Their Pokedex entries are cool. The superpower Pokemon, all that. How powerful they get. They're chill. I just, again, I've never used a Machop on any of my teams. I've never used a Machamp, so I don't really have a strong bond towards them. And they're cool. They're just there for me, though. Gigantamax, though. Hello, how are you doing today? Gigantamax. Machamp, though, I think it's a lot cooler. I think I really like how they like gave them that orange aura off them. Have you been doing good? It's good to see you back. I didn't stream yesterday, so you didn't really miss anything. But it's good to see you back. We're taking a break. I don't think you were there for the Metroid stream I did a couple days ago, but yes, we are taking a break from that. I just needed a stress relief after I died, I think like 30 plus times, not even lying. I died so many times and it broke my brain and I felt so tired. I felt so tired after the boss because I had to fight the twin Chozos. The twin Chozos, oh my gosh, they broke me. I I got so enraged that I just defaulted to no emotion. On 100%. Okay, flexing a little bit. I understand. I see. You know what? I gotta give you kudos though. That's amazing. Good on you. I I will never do that because my gaming capability is nowhere close to that level needed to beat hard mode. But I give you credit. That is awesome. How long did it take you? How many hours? See, I tried the storm missiles, right? Where I had to lock on, it would fire multiple at them, but I never got enough time to fire them off because the way they would just double team me and just absolutely block me at every chance and just deal damage to me, which reset the storm missiles. Oh my god, they were a pain for me. 7 hours? 7 hours? Man, man, I need to step up my game a little bit. Then I understand. That's because I think I've been playing it for more than 7 hours now, and I think I'm only like 5.5. We're only finishing. Oh my god, what? No, that's diabolical. I'm playing on normal difficulty. That's 5.5 on hard. I'm sure it's like you got to feel for it, you know how to beat it, but still, to me, that's really impressive. Hold on, no, never mind. But 5.5 hours, that's really good. Good on you. Jeez, I'm debating on whether or not to 100% it. I think for the most part, I'm just going to try to beat the game because beating the game is going to be such an accomplishment for me because of just how difficult of a time I've been having. But good on you for being able to 100% it. That's awesome. But back to the rankings. Feel free to join me in this. Throw in your opinions if you are into Pokemon in any way and tell me how wrong I am for them. That I completely understand that I have not the hottest takes. Or I have some pretty hot takes. I mean, Bellsprout, again, one of those Pokemon, feel very neutral about. I think its design is cool. It's chill. Weeping Bell, actually, no. I can't give any love to Weeping Bell. There's something about Weeping Bell that just I despise. I don't know. I think Bellsprout is a pretty solid design. It's got some charm, like its little legs. I love Bellsprout's little legs. And then they just evolve it and make it just a floating head, and horrifying in every way. But Victory Bell is honestly really solid. I think it's a good grass type. Its design's cool. It kind of does look like a pea shooter. Yeah, that's actually good. Only, it looks like a rough draft of it, right? It kind of looks like a rough draft of a pea shooter. Tentacool. Okay. So everyone hates these things for the most part because it's kind of the Zubat of the water. However, I remember getting one back in the days of Heart Gold, Soul Silver when those games came out, and I was a kid and I caught one and I evolved it into Tentacruel, and I just remember seeing just this awesome, really cool jellyfish that just took hits like no tomorrow. Tentacruel has a special place in my heart because of Heart Gold, Soul Silver. It's nothing outstanding, but I think for a jellyfish Pokemon, it's really cool. Definitely better than Gen 5's jellyfish Pokemon. Again, we'll get to Gen 5 when we get to Gen 5. I'm going to get so much hate thrown at me for Gen 5. But, Geodude. Man, what can you say about Geodude? He's a rock with arms. Yep. Alolan Geodude, same thing. They just gave him some eyebrows. Oh boy. Graveler, I actively dislike Graveler. It's just a rock with a very stupid face, and they gave it 2 extra arms. I think it would have been cool. However, I had a friend though who said something about Graveler that I can just never get out of my head though. He said the 2 hands that Graveler doesn't use, that's just always on his chest, it looks like he's using them to cover nipples. Like he's just using them to cover and hide his chest. And I've just never been able to get that visual out of my head. It kind of ruined Graveler for me a little bit, but in a kind of like a funny, good way. And so every time I see Graveler, I'm just like, oh, he's a little bit shy and he's covering himself up. Your brain is cool. Alolan Graveler. Oh boy. Have you seen the shiny of Alolan Graveler? Hold on, because we'll probably do a shiny ranking at some point, right? But this thing straight up looks like doo-doo with corn in it. It straight up looks like doo-doo with some corn in it. And I can't get over that. Someone pointed that out like back when it first came out, and there was comments on it, how it's shiny looked like doo-doo with corn. And honestly, they couldn't be more right. That is all I can see with that. And I don't know if like the markings on the side are sideburns. I'm pretty sure that's what they're supposed to be. They're supposed to be like sideburns or something. But I don't know. It looks... I don't hate it. I don't think it's definitely different from normal Graveler. I think the Rock Electric type's cool too. And Golem, I'm neutral about Golem, and I'm neutral about the Alolan form. The Alolan Golem does look plenty different enough to give it its own personality and make it interesting. I do like how it uses the launcher on it to shoot Geodudes. That's pretty funny. That's good. But it's nothing outstanding. I'm not going to go write a love letter to Golem. Be like, you're the coolest rock type ever. My God, just everyone should have you as a rock type on their team. Just, it's okay. Ponyta. Oh my gosh. Okay. Again, just to make clear, fire types are my favorite Pokemon. Okay? They are my favorite type in Pokemon. But just the Gen 1 fire types just don't really do anything for me. and I think like it's okay. I think Ponyta would fit better into the My Little Pony universe, but Ponyta's okay, and Rapidash is fine. Um, I think if they made the horn a different color than the rest of its skin, or maybe they varied the skin color a little bit, gave it some more colors instead of all one flesh tone. I think that's my big issue is that Ponyta has three colors. It's pale, fire, like the orange, and then the hooves. And that's it. And I think for a horse, because yes, there's like plain brown horses or plain black horses, but a lot of the times horses have markings. They have different colors. They look elegant. And it looks like with Ponyta and Rapidash, they didn't put any effort into any of that elegance or coolness. They took a very blank slate of what a horse was and is like, here, throw some fire on it. Now, the Galarian, I'll say I like it. I didn't use one on my playthrough. I had Sword, I didn't do Shield, so I know they're exclusive. However, even if I did have Shield, I don't think I would put this on my team. But I do recognize that they did a lot more with it than the Cantonian counterparts. Like this actually has multiple colors. It has a lightness to it. It gives it that psychic feeling or the fairy feeling that they're going for. It gives the actual unicorn vibes. It gives unicorn vibes. Because that's what Rapidash is supposed to be, a fire horse unicorn. And it just looks like a very plain horse with a horn. But here, they fully went into, no, this is a mythical creature. It is a unicorn. Here it is. And you feel that, and it's great. And they're actually really solid counterparts to the Cantonian. Slowpoke, I just feel like Slowpoke's so stupid that you can't hate it. Galarian Slowpoke, I actually really like. I think the yellow sticks out. Slowbro, same situation. You just look at them and you're like, they're just dopey, helpless dudes that you gotta be there for them because if you're not, they're gonna get hurt. They're like a child. If you don't watch them, they're gonna wander off and somehow find a way to almost kill themselves. Mega Slowbro. I saw this revealed, or when I was playing through the games, and you see this. And you're like, and honestly, it wasn't really drawn to my attention till I saw a video kind of on Megas the other day. And they're like, Slowpoke doesn't evolve. Or Slowbro doesn't evolve. The shell evolves. Slowbro's the same. Slowbro's just being consumed by the shell. And when it was put to me like that, I'm like, oh, you're right. The Mega doesn't change Slowbro. It changes the shelter on its tail. Which, for me, will kind of put it in that dislike area. Because it's just, I feel like they could have done more. At the same time, though, I do understand why they went kind of simple with it. Because it's Slowbro. It is a very simple, dumb Pokemon. It's not meant to be stoic or cool or really anything outstanding. It's Slowbro. It's meant to be dopey. And in that way, the Mega did great. Because it's stupid. But it's not to the point where it's so stupid it's good. It's just kind of stupid for me. Galarian Slowbro, though, when these things were introduced, Galarian Slowbro and Slowking, I loved them. I used one for the Isle of Armor DLC. I put one on my team for that, and I really loved it. and it's cool how they changed its typing and kind of what they did to evolve upon the shelter concept. And its signature move, super cool. I like its coloring, just solid Pokemon. Magnemite. Mm. Magnemite actually has some charm to it. I'll put it in neutral. I've never used a Magnemite in any playthrough either. So don't really care for it either way. But it's fine. Now Magneton. Here we go into dislike. Because I don't know what it is with Gen 1 specifically, but Gen 1 loved the number 3. Gen 1 saw the number 3 and is like, that is the whole point of this generation, is 3. Because you got, where are they? Okay, starting off, you have Doug Trio. It goes from 1 to 3. You have Magnemite, goes from 1 to 3. You have Doduo, goes from 2 to 3. Then you have Execute, goes from multiple eggs to 3. Why is everything 3? Why does it have to always be 3? I don't understand the obsession with just everything quantifying to the number 3, but they did it with too many Pokemon in this generation. Farfetch'd. Okay, I'm gonna be part of the minority here, but I absolutely love Farfetch'd. I think it's a goofy little duck Pokemon. I think it's better. Yes, that's actually a great point. 3 evolutions as well. Yeah, you got Vaporeon, Jolteon, Flareon. 3 evolutions as well. I didn't even think about that because I was thinking of the physical looking 3s. But yeah, 3 evolutions as well. So, I don't know. I don't know why everything had to be in quantities of 3, but it was. But Farfetch'd, super solid. When I saw that Farfetch'd had a Galarian form, and when they were like kind of teasing it and blurring it out and kind of giving hints like, hey, there's this new Pokemon that's an evolution. We haven't got to it yet, and we will. But just a heads up, Surfetch'd is my favorite fighting type Pokemon. Surfetch'd is my number 1 fighting type. I absolutely adore the thing. It's amazing. And I think Galarian Farfetch'd gave so much more personality to Farfetch'd in a much needed and loved way that pays homage to what Farfetch'd is. And they're just like, let's make him over the top, just a rough and tough guy. Doduo. Man, what can you say about a 2-headed ostrich that has nothing going for it, really? I'm not going to say I dislike it, because there's no reason to dislike it. It is simply one of those Pokemon that's just there. I do kind of like the gender difference between kind of the skin fleshed necks and the black necks. I think that's a nice little touch for a gender difference. But I've never used a Doduo or a Dodrio. I've thought about it, but it's like they're kind of just there. Man, I don't think they really deserve any other ranking than that. They're now again. Every Pokemon is someone's favorite. So there are probably people out there that absolutely love and adore Seal and Dugong. And there's nothing actively bad about them, but when I see these 2 Pokemon, it's like, why would I choose them over literally any other water type? And I think because I put them so low on the priority of what would I like to have for a water type. I think it just kind of actively puts them in dislike because it's like everything's better than you. Um, Grimer, pretty neutral about. But for some reason, gosh dang, this is a weird biased opinion, but I do like the Alolan a lot more. My when Sun and Moon came out, I didn't use any Alolan forms, even though that was kind of like a whole gimmick. Was Gen 7 introduced alternate forms for Pokemon. And so for a lot of people's first teams involved an alternate form. I didn't. I stuck to Pokemon that were specifically introduced in Gen 7, who were new Pokemon who weren't recoded, reskinned, or type changed, just new Pokemon never before seen. And I was happy with my team in Sun. Um, when Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon came out, that's when I threw Alolan forms on my team because I didn't think we were going to get an Ultra Sun and Moon. I'm happy we did. But I'm like, okay, you know what? Because we got these Ultra games, it's still all the same Pokemon. Why not try to switch up my teams a little bit? And I decided to run the Alolan forms. And I ran Alolan Marowak and Alolan Muk on my team. And they were both amazing. Both great. Loved them. And these, honestly, the Alolans have so much more personality, and the colors and everything about them I think is just better. Also, amazing typing. Only one weakness. Yes. Like, it's great. Shelter. Gosh, I love Shelter. I also love its shiny. It's so dopey. It's so cool. Just the tongue is so excessively over the top in the best kind of way for me. Cloyster, though, I like Cloyster. I think Cloyster's cool. I'm not going to make the jokes about it. Everyone else does. Because I think it's overplayed at this point. But, yeah, I understand why. Okay. So, we're getting to the only ghost type of Gen 1. The only ghost line. I'm not going to say only ghost type because technically there's 3 ghost types for Gen 1. But when I see these Pokemon, I don't get an absolute excited thrill when I see them. It's like I respect them. I think they're chill. That's why they're going in light, but not anything higher. I think the evolution line is honestly really solid. The eyes kind of stay the same. You get the same mischievousness out of all of them. And I think, yeah, Gengar's a solid line. Gengar's my main in Unite. Gengar is basically the only Pokemon I use in Unite, and I will say I absolutely love Gengar in Unite. But that is the only context I've used Gengar, because I've never used the Ghastly line either in any of my playthroughs. It's like the ghost type, right? But I've never used it. However, I also think that its Mega and its Gigantamax are kind of the same. I don't think they're anything better than Gengar, but they're definitely not anything worse than Gengar. I think they are very good for Gengar alternate forms or stronger forms. I think they did good with that. Onyx. Yeah, big rock snake. This is one of my friend's favorite Pokemon, and I respect it for that. Like, there's nothing wrong with Onyx being your favorite Pokemon. It's just, I see Onyx, and I don't go, that thing's dope. I see, okay, it's fine. Um, I'm not into big behemoth Pokemon like other people are. Um, but there's nothing wrong with Onyx. If you want to talk stat spread, yes, but we're not talking about stat spread. I'm specifically just talking about the Pokemon in general. So, Drowsy and Hypno. Um, the only reason Drowsy and Hypno have any sort of credit to me or any sort of liking in my way is because they were used on Faba's team in Sun and Moon and Ultra Sun, Ultra Moon, all that. And they were used as like an opponent, an enemy, and I think that's cool. I think Hypno and Drowsy are a perfect like villain Pokemon to face off against because they're just so uncomfy and ugly to look at. Like nobody's gonna put a Drowsy and Hypno on their team and be like, man, this thing is adorable and cute. They're gonna put a Drowsy and Hypno on their team because they have issues and they have problems and they're mentally unstable. Nobody's gonna put willingly a Drowsy and a Hypno on their team unless they're forced to. And Krabby, kind of what everyone else says about it. It's a crab. Um, and honestly, anytime I think about Kingler, well, Kingler, yes, Ash had one. Cool. It got one battle. Um, I actively forget every single time Gigantamax forms are brought up that Kingler gets one. Kingler is such just a middle of the road Pokemon for me, just completely neutral, that I forget that Kingler gets a Gigantamax form. And every time I look at the Gigantamax form, I go, why did they give Kingler a Gigantamax form? Which is fine. Okay, so my thing is, I like it when Pokemon that are just either not appreciated or middle of the road or less thought about get something special about them. They get like an alternate form or they get a signature move or something about them that kind of makes them stand out a little bit. I love that because I don't like how only the most popular Pokemon are the only ones that get something special. Like, give less popular Pokemon something to maybe get people to build more affection or love for those Pokemon, or maybe have those people see those Pokemon as not so bad, right? It's only the top dogs that get the top spots at all times. And it's like, show love to the underdogs. And Kingler's an underdog. But he's the most boring underdog. And I think that's why they gave him a Gigantamax form. They're like, okay, Kingler's a pretty boring Gen 1 type. But what if we gave him a unique form? And people are like, Kingler? Kingler. What are we going to do with Kingler to make it stand out more? And somehow, in making it this creature, I think it just made Kingler fall even further in the shadows. I don't know why. I don't know what it is about this Gigantamax form, but my brain actively forgets it exists. Voltorb, I'm neutral, right? Voltorb, Electrode, neutral. However, I have a love for Hisuian Voltorb. Not Electrode. Electrode's neutral. But like I said, I don't run fully evolved teams. I just run with Pokemon I like. And back before Legends Arceus came out and Hisuian Voltorb was shown off and shown to exist, just the design of its shell and then the eyebrows. The eyebrows in this situation are amazing, unlike Geodude, right? Geodude got eyebrows and I'm like, But they gave Hisuian Voltorb just these big blocky eyebrows, and I fell in love with him. I'm like, this is amazing for Voltorb. Voltorb deserves this. This is great. Voltorb's a great Pokemon. And so I ran a Hisuian Voltorb on my team. I never evolved it. I just ran it Hisuian Voltorb. Execute. Executor. Alolan Executor. They're not good Pokemon. Yes, they gave it an Alolan form, which just made it goofy, and that was their intention, was to make it goofy. Because ain't nobody gonna look at this and be like, that thing's cool or intimidating in any way. They're gonna be like, that is the goofiest dang Pokemon to exist. And they knew what they were doing, and they followed through, and they did it, and good on them. I just don't care for it. I have never once looked at an Execute and be like, I want that on my team. An Executor, even less so. Cubone. Yeah. Marowak, I like a bit less. I feel neutral. Haha, the section. For Marowak, I don't think it's a bad evolution. However, it almost feels incomplete. There's something about Marowak that makes it feel like it's not finished. Because Cubone's a good first stage. Everyone loves Cubone. Cubone's adorable. But Marowak feels unfinished. However, you get to Alolan Marowak, and Alolan Marowak feels like a Final Four. Alolan Marowak feels complete. And I don't know. I lost it. Oh, there it is. I don't know. I do know. It's because Alolan Marowak looks like it comes from Cubone, but it gives it so much more personality and character, and just, oh my gosh, Alolan Marowak is a phenomenal fire type. It's a phenomenal ghost type. It honestly probably in competition for my favorite ghost type. But I love Alolan Marowak. They knocked it out the park with this Alolan variant, and I think just normal Marowak is just very much unfinished. Hitmonlee is solid. It looks a bit weird. It kind of looks like a potato with leg and arm extensions. But there's something about it that's very charming and very chill, and I like it. Hitmonchan, however, I can't say I've never ran a Hitmonchan on my team. I've never ran a Hitmonlee either. I've only ever ran a Hitmontop on one of my teams. But Hitmonchan is just too humanoid for me to enjoy. It almost doesn't feel like a Pokemon. It's weird enough looking to give that Pokemon vibes, but it's the same as, oh boy, here I go talking about Gen 5 again and just my issues with it. But like Sock and Throw, they're just too humanoid to want to capture or feel like, I don't know, there's something about it, right? Because you train pets. Like, pets, animals, those are things in real life you train. And yes, there are trainers and teachers for, like, people. Like, yes, college exists, jobs exist, you got your bosses, everything, right? And yeah, karate exists where you gotta train whoever's coming in to learn the techniques. I just feel like Hitmonchan, Sock, Throw, they come to see you to learn. I don't feel like you're supposed to capture them to have them learn. I feel like they fill out 401ks, like they have 401ks, Roth IRAs. They, work a 9 to 5. They don't feel like Pokemon fully to me. Um, oh boy, Lickitung. Lickitung is one of those Pokemon that are so. I'm putting Lickitung in neutral because I don't know if Lickitung is one of those Pokemon that I love or I hate. I can never decide when I look at Lickitung if I'm like, you know what, I like it, or I see it and I'm like, I hate it. And for that reason, I think it has to go in neutral because I'm in such limbo every time I see Lickitung, whether or not I like it or not. So it'll just stay in neutral. Coughing, same thing. Nope, that's dislike. Coughing, wheezing, all of them. Now, amazing ability, good ability, especially when paired, with slacking and VCG, all that, VGC. I get the ability's competitive aspect of wheezing. I don't care though. It's a smog ball, and the only thing ever interesting about them is, when they're James's Pokemon and you just hear them go, coffee! Fun, amusing. The voice is great. Wheezing! Okay, fun. But I mean, they're there. There again, they're there. And I think they tell, they're there for a purpose, show. Sorry, my beard's a little bit curly, and I'm like, yeah, let me just get this out while I'm on camera. But yes, they're very much a sign of hey, human pollution, all of that, air quality, smog. They're representing that. Same thing with Grimer. Just how badly pollution is as a thing. And they convey that concept well because of how ugly and stinky they're supposed to be. But I just don't care for them. If I were to have a wheezing on my team, I wouldn't be against it, but I'm never going to seek out to put a wheezing on my team. Now, Rhyhorn, super solid. I have yet to officially run a Rhyhorn, Rhydon on my team, Rhyperior. But I see them, and these Pokemon, I think, get a fair amount of love that they deserve. You see them, and they're really cool. They're really chill. The rocky shell, their postures, their stances, their menacing looks, the horns, just everything about Rhyhorn, Rhydon is great. I do like Rhyhorn more than I like Rhydon. I think Rhyhorn's design just is more appealing to me than Rhydon's, but they're both still really cute. Cool. Oh my gosh. Chansey. Neutral. Chansey's there. I've never used one. I don't really have a need to ever really use one or see how to. Now, I love Diamond and Pearl, and I played through the games a couple times, and Brilliant Diamond Shining Pearl. I actually like Brilliant Diamond Shining Pearl. Those games are hated on for, I feel like, is not a justified good enough reason. So I love Happiny. Happiny has just some of that baby Pokemon charm to it that I adore. But Chansey, it's I think if they did something different with the feelers, I'd enjoy Chansey a little bit more. Um, but for right now, Chansey's just one of those. Yeah, it exists. Tangela, I actively enjoy Tangela. He is a weird looking dude of just vines and the red shoes he's got on. Because those are shoes. I don't care. For some reason, this Pokemon is able to wear shoes. We've never seen the feet underneath those shoes or anything. It's just a bunch of vines, and I don't know. I really like Tangela for some reason. I would rock a Tangela on my team and not worry about evolving it. Kangaskhan. Kangaskhan is solid. Its Mega Evolution's okay. It's just Kangaskhan, but it's baby grew. So I don't think there's any reason to actively dislike its Mega Evolution because it's just Kangaskhan. So they're almost kind of like the same Pokemon to me. But Kangaskhan, yeah. I mean, it's a fine concept, or it looks fine. Again, I've never ran one on my teams. Maybe if I ran one on my teams, I'd enjoy it a little bit more because I know it is a bit of a powerhouse, but I just have never looked or cared one way or another about Kangaskhan. Horsey, oh yeah. I actually caught 3 shinies of this the other day because I want to have one for each of the line. Although, as much as I love Horsey, I just kind of like Seadra. Horsey is adorable in every way, and I think if there's any hate towards Horsey, it's not deserved in any way. I think Horsey's super solid and adorable, and Horsey deserves all the love. Seadra, still really good. It's cool. It's solid. But there's some charm from Horsey that it just loses for me. Goldeen. Okay. Okay. So Goldeen. Uh, this is tough. This is tough. Because I think what a lot of people do is they confuse, like, people have their favorites, and usually their favorites are the more popular ones. And so any Pokemon that they don't like or that, you know, isn't their favorites, they just actively hate them. And I feel like Goldeen is one of those Pokemon that just actively gets so much hate. And I don't really think it's deserved. Is it a great Pokemon? No, not by any means. But I don't think it should be actively hated as much as it is. And therefore, I'll just feel neutral about Goldeen. It does have an absolute abysmal move pool. I think they do need to do something about its move pool, because the fact that it only learns 2 water moves by level up when it's a pure water type and it's a fish, and you're gonna tell me it only learns 2 water moves by level up, that's diabolical. And Seeking is ugly as sin. But at the same time, there are just some fish that just look kind of exactly like this. Like, it's very accurate to what some fish look like, just they don't have the horn attached. And I think the horn just puts it a little bit over the top to where it's like, okay, it's not a normal goldfish. And I think it's fine. Star you and star me. People absolutely love these two. I know for some people, Starmie's like their favorite water type. And maybe it's because I've never used them. So maybe if I were to use them, I'd gain more love for them. But for now, They're very much just, they're there. And I think they're a good Pokemon. I think the design's cool. I think in general they're cool. I just don't really care to use them, you know? Um, all right. Mr. Mime, I think I have to put a neutral because it conveys the fact that it's a clown, it's a jester, it's a mime very well. What it's trying to be, it does very well, and I think that's also another thing people confuse is what they're trying to get across versus how people actually take in the design. And Mr. Mime, for what it's doing, is very good. Do I like Mr. Mime? No. But I respect that it comes across what it's supposed to be, which is a clown jester mime. And I can't discredit it for that. Galarian Mr. Mime, though. Galarian Mr. Mime is more creepy to me than Mr. Mime is. And Galarian Mr. Mime, when I would see it in Sword and I encountered it, I just actively remember going, oh, no. And then not wanting to do it. I only captured it to fill out the Pokedex. And then I never planned on touching it ever again. I do find it interesting how I got a form and an evolution. I think that's interesting, but I never planned on using it. Scyther, yeah, what's not to like about Scyther? Scyther is super solid. Scyther is a good bug type. They knew what they were doing with Scyther. And I think Scyther is very well deservedly loved. You can talk about how bad of a typing bug and flying is, yes, but we're not here to discuss competitive use of Pokemon. We are just here talking about how we feel about them. And I feel like Scyther is cooler than Cleavor. Cleavor is still cool. I still like what they did with Cleavor. But Scyther is one of those Pokemon where if I got it, I wouldn't mind if it didn't evolve into Scyther. I think Scyther stands alone as a very good Pokemon and is pretty dang cool. So what can I say about Jinx besides no? Again, I think it's one of those too humanoid feeling Pokemon. It's too humanoid and too alien at the same exact time. It's almost, and it's not uncanny. I don't look at Jinx and go, huh, something's off about that, and it makes me uncomfortable. No, I just look at Jinx and go, why do you have a wig, fully opposable fingers, a dress, a breastplate? Why do you have all of that, but you also at the same time don't feel human in any way? Like, it's weird. It's like a Mark or Marcus from Fairly Odd Parents. Jinx gives off those vibes of Marcus from Fairly Odd Parents. And it's the way that he kind of feels human in the way he just talks and he just does his thing. But at the same time, it's very much like, yeah, you're very obviously not human, but you do some things that are very human-like. Electabuzz? Okay. This is going to be a controversial one. I don't like Electabuzz. We'll get to its evolutions later and how I feel about its evolutions, because its evolutions I feel very different about. But Electabuzz, I see Electabuzz and I go, I'm so happy it had more added to its evolution line. Because if it didn't, I just feel like nobody would ever look in the general direction of Electabuzz. And everyone can go, oh, but the anime, they made it sound so funny. But I don't know. Electabuzz looks stupid. They did the weird thing again where they just gave it a like a super just over the top belly. And I don't think it needed the belly, and I don't think the belly alone is the reason why I don't like it. But I don't know. Magmar. Okay, for a long time I didn't like Magmar. Magmar was weird to me. But eventually I kind of came around. There's still some things about Magmar that I don't like, and it's not even the big like butt or boob head that's got going on. It kind of feels like it's wearing pajamas almost, or like it's kind of wearing a suit in a way. It doesn't feel like it's complete, like its body is fire almost. But I don't know. There is some charm to it that I kind of enjoy, and it's kind of I kind of vibe with Magmar more than I do Electabuzz. Pinsir. Oh yeah, super solid Pokemon. I don't think there's any reason to really hate on it. It gets across the ugly, cool, and chill look. Not chill. But you see Pinsir, and it's like, oh, that's a hideous Pokemon, but in all the right ways. It is creepy, it's fierce, it's dope. Pinsir's great, it's Mega Evolution. They did really good with it too, and they made it look even more intense and terrifying than it already was. Tauros. My god, if there was a more neutral of neutral Pokemon. I think the Paldean did it some justice with giving it like 3 different forms and kind of spicing up Tauros a little bit, because Tauros is just so plain. And I get that early on, like normal types were supposed to be plain. And they were supposed to be just like a normal creature with added whimsical features, so like the 3 tails, the gems on its head. But I just don't care for Tauros. But I'm not gonna say it's a horrible Pokemon. See, yeah, this is what I mean. The Paldean forms, I think the black and kind of, I don't know. There's something about the Paldean forms that give it a lot more needed personality. And I think the Blaze form is easily the best out of the 3. It's the coolest, it's the most fierce out of the 3. But the Aqua form is also very different from how normal Tauros looks. And I think they did good with the Paldean forms. Magikarp. I like Magikarp. I think it easily has one of the best shinies with it, the gold they did with it. The gold shiny on Magikarp, especially in Scarlet and Violet, oh my gosh, it is so amazing. I just wish they didn't take away the moves it had access to in Galar. Because Galar had access to like Bounce, and it had access to Hydro Pump, which made it actually a bit more useful and you could use it. And then for some reason in Scarlet and Violet, they're like, no, take those away. And I get that Magikarp's supposed to be useless, but my god, its shiny looks so good to the point where just I don't want to evolve it. And I don't plan to. I don't plan on evolving. I have 2 Magikarps. I'm going to evolve one into Gyarados. Actually, I caught 2 Magikarps and I already have a shiny Gyarados, but yeah, I don't plan on evolving the Magikarp. I'm actually probably going to send one back to Sword and Shield so it can learn Hydro Pump and Bounce, because I just feel like those are really good moves for it to have, so it can actually fight in battles. Gyarados. Oh, I'm really gonna make people mad. No, I'll put Gyarados in light. I do, for some reason, enjoy Magikarp more. I think it's the eyes on Magikarp, or just the way and the vibes that Magikarp gives off that I enjoy more. Um, but Gyarados is, just a really bad, cool serpent dragon. But I don't care for that sometimes. Sometimes I do want something goofy, like Magikarp, or simple. Like, Gyarados almost feels over the top, right? Scyther is an amazing design. It gets its concept across, and Gyarados gets its concept across too, right? Like a water dragon. Cool. There's a difference in coolness though that I can't quite explain, or I guess make sense on my own of why I see different kinds of coolness, and I think Scyther pulls off coolness more than Gyarados does. Moving on though, Mega Gyarados. It's really weird how they made it so chunky around the head, and then the tail is just non-existent. The size proportions for it were really odd for me. It's cool that Lysander had one, but it's definitely just a weird mega for me. I'm sorry. And I think what we are going to do is we're just going to stick with Gen 1 for now, because it has been just about 2 hours and we're only on Gen 1. So I will break this up into generation by generation. But Lapras here. I like Lapras. Lapras is nothing to write home about for me. I think it's chill, and I think the fact that they gave it a Gigantamax form is chill as well. And I think it does really good for Lapras. It fits into Lapras well. It fits without being too drastic of a change, but enough of a change to be very appreciated. Ditto, I feel like you can't not like Ditto just because of everything it is, and just it's, look at its face. You look at Ditto and you're like, oh, this little dude, this little guy, and it just look at him. You want to smile every time you look at Ditto's face. Yes, it is nothing more than a breeding slave in the games, but I like how he looks. Eevee, you can't go wrong with Eevee. I chose Let's Go Eevee, and let me tell you, when in Let's Go Eevee, okay, in Let's Go Eevee, when you're able to pet Eevee or like feed it treats and just take care of it, the noises Eevee makes, its happy noises, the way it bounces around where it gets happy. Oh my gosh, cuteness overload. Whoever designed the Let's Go games and they went all out with Eevee and the cuteness overload. And my god, it's too much for my heart sometimes, just how cute they made Eevee in those games. And I think Let's Go kind of, as those games were, it really kind of boosted my love for Eevee in such a good way. Because before, I liked Eevee. I think Eevee was cool, it was cute. I think its whole concept as a Pokemon of its DNA is weird, so it evolves in multiple different ways, is cool. But just Let's Go, making it as adorable as they did, is great. And its Gigantamax form, right up there with it. They just went over the top with the fluffiness and the adorableness, and I see nothing wrong with it. Vaporeon. Oh boy. So, here's the thing. Evolutions are one of those topics that will more than likely just get someone to knock you out. And as you can see, yeah, I put those two in neutral. And that's how I feel about them. There's not an evolution that I actively don't like. Well, we'll hold off on that. But there's only a couple evolutions where I go, oh my gosh, that's amazing. Um, like Flareon. Flareon is in my top two favorite evolutions. I love Flareon. And Flareon gets so much hate for no reason. I think it's great. I think it very much has the same vibes as Eevee, and they just made it more fluffy and gave it a little bit more fierceness, and it's great. Just Flareon is amazing. Porygon, I'm pretty neutral on. I think it's funny. It's a goofy Pokemon. It has some wild history. Ammonite is probably one of my least favorite fossils. I love the fossil Pokemon. I think we need way more fossil Pokemon. The fact that we've had 3 generations now that don't have fossil Pokemon, I find to be a bit criminal. Scarlet and Violet, definitely more than any other generation, should have definitely had fossil Pokemon, especially with the whole ancient and past or ancient and future concept. Definitely should have had like more fossil Pokemon. And honestly, in Scarlet, I said this after Scarlet had been out for a while, and you go to Area Zero, because it's in the past and it's ancient, they should have had the fossil Pokemon running around in the ancient Area Zero. I feel like that would just fit so well if all these were all the Pokemon that were running around back in time when, they didn't really have people to tame them or bring them in or domesticate them. And they just had all the fossils running around down there. They should have implemented that. I feel like that would just been just a chef's kiss if they implemented the fossils into Scarlet for Area Zero. Now, what would they do for Violet in Area Zero? I don't know. But they definitely should have put the fossils in Scarlet. And honestly, we just need more of them. We have quite the variety of fossil Pokemon. I mean, Galar gave us 4. But a lot of people hate the Galar fossils, and I do like how they don't have the rock typing, which makes them a bit more unique in that sense, and besides the fact that they're just Frankensteinian horrors. But it does give them a bit more uniqueness that they don't have the rock typing. And they can introduce more fossil Pokemon without having the rock typing. I think that would be fine. But my god, just give us more fossil types. I love the fossil Pokemon. They're so cool. But I think Ammonite is probably my least favorite out of all the fossil Pokemon, except Arctovish. Once we get to Arctovish, we'll deal with it. But Kabuto, I actually kind of really like it. I think its whole eyes being underneath it while it's trying to deceive you with eyes on top, really cool. I think it's a solid design for a horseshoe crab. But Kabutops, oh my gosh. You're going to look at this thing and tell me it's not just an absolute menace and like flawless design. Like, this thing looks like it would be constantly at war with Scyther. Kabutops and Scyther are 100% rivals. They're just like, who's got the better sides? Let's find out. An Aerodactyl? Yeah, Aerodactyl's solid. You can't go wrong with it. The Mega, I actually like a bit less. I'm going to feel neutral about that, but I think Aerodactyl's pretty chill. Now, Snorlax. Okay, it's Gigantamax form. they did solid with. It got so lazy that a whole forest grew on it. That's just great. And Snorlax, yeah, I mean, Snorlax is solid. Now, I can't be spoiling about my opinions about later Pokemon because that would just ruin this whole thing. But Snorlax, solid. I'm not gonna glaze Gen 1 like everyone else does. Gen 1 is not my favorite gen. I respect it and appreciate it for what it is. But now the legendary birds. I actively do not like Articuno, either form. I think both forms of Articuno are meh. Articuno does have some more mysticality behind it, other than the other two, like more than the other two. But I don't know. Anytime it came to legendary birds, Articuno was just the one where I just didn't really care for it. Zapdos, I like. However, I actually much prefer Galarian Zapdos. I don't know, and the Gen 1ers are gonna absolutely hate that I did that, but I don't care. Galarian Zapdos is so much cooler. The colors are so much more striking and vibrant, and like catching this thing in Sword and Shield was an absolute just mind break because you had to try to cut it off because you couldn't keep up with it, and you had to strategize on how to catch this thing because this thing just darted around and was the speed of light and was just an absolute menace like it was no one's business. And while I haven't really used it much, I used it in like one or two battles just to try it out like I did with the other forms. This is probably my favorite Galarian bird form. It's so good. However, I like Moltres. I don't really see the hate Moltres gets. I get, yes, it looks like a burnt chicken or rubber chicken, whatever. But Moltres is cool. I love the mythical creature, the Phoenix, and so seeing a bird that portrays that pretty dang well, I love it. And its Galarian form, I'm actually neutral on. I actually feel a little less strong about the Galarian form than I do the normal form, but the Galarian form is still fine. And then Dratini. Okay. So Dratini and Dragonair, I enjoy. I think they're really cool. I think Dratini's adorable while also giving that sea serpent dragon vibe. Like, they look like sea serpent dragons. They do very good at that. This is where it's going to get controversial because I don't care for Dragonite. I don't hate Dragonite. I don't think you could really hate Dragonite. Maybe there are some people that hate it because of how cartoonishly dinosaur it looks. It looks like it kind of belongs on the cast of Barney. But I still like Dragonite. I just don't care for it. It's very much, it exists. I acknowledge it exists. It's fine. But I definitely think Dratini and Dragonair are better than Dragonite. Mewtwo. Okay, lore-wise, Mewtwo's cool. Besides that, I feel the same way about Mewtwo that I do about Dragonite. They are there, and I don't really care. I'm not going to sit here and say Mewtwo's the best legendary. It's just not happening. I could care less about ever using a Mewtwo. And that's criminal for a lot of people. People absolutely love Mewtwo. I get that. But now Mew, I like Mew a bit more. Mew has a mischievous nature about it. I like its simple but cute design. I just like the personality of Mew better than I do Mewtwo. And that concludes Gen 1. So we'll slowly go through this so you can fully absorb whether you think I'm valid in how I feel or you think you're gonna hate my guts and wanna just hang me with my own intestines, you know. Because I know I had some controversial opinions here, but this is my ranking for Gen 1. Whoop. Okay, we good? Alright. Now, we will end that there. Okay, Gen 1's done. We will do... Hey, good. You always gotta eat. I plan on making some delicious meals after I get off, but what you have, what you feeling? Well, what were you craving? Is that okay? Cool. Everything updated. Know what? Fair. Okay. You gonna connect? No? Alright. So we're now switching games. This is just a Pokemon themed day. Because Pokemon is just chill to hang out with. It's a lot less stressful than everything else I've been gaming on lately. So, yeah.